Awesome. Before we start, anyone have anything specific that you're looking to double click on or anything that like has specifically excited you about the session? It's fine if you don't too. We can give it to Michael to take it away. But it's
Just learn. I'm actually looking for jobs and I saw a question. Do you know how to use clay on one of the job postings?
Cool. Yeah, totally. We can get to it. Nice signal. A lot of people are using it basically, but it's still gold for different reasons actually. Good question.
all right, awesome. Well, Michael, take us away. I'm excited.
Thank you. Thank you all. So welcome, first of all. I'm really excited to be here. I know you a little bit hate me because I talk about outbound. You are more like the management people, but I can guarantee you that you can even use outbound to generate demand. And especially with Clay, which is such an interesting technology, you can use outbound for good. And before starting, actually, I agree with you. Outbound is broken, of course. Sales development function in general is a bit broken because of the approach, because of the unit economics. It's very difficult to actually generate ROI for different business with sales dev and outbound in general. This is not just a call about using outbound to spam people actually, but is how to use technology and all the open data on the web and use those open data to scrape problems at scale, or at least are very likely to have a problem at scale. Use that data to actually create a very relevant outreach. So one thing is saying at a very big group around of people, hey, I just noticed your e-commerce is cool, you're selling this, maybe you're interested in me that we can run your Facebook ads. Another thing is saying, hey, I noticed that you're running Facebook ads for that kind of page. Maybe this is a very irrelevant way in which you're making errors and we can solve those errors and leverage this trigger, leverage that problem at scale, of course, to generate interest, in some cases generate demand or convert demand. So convert the demand into a meeting, basically. And that's it. Just one question before starting. So how many of you actually know Clay or at least have heard about Clay?
Heard from the job posting.
Sure. So a couple of people, basically. Okay, cool. I will share my screen. Let me... I can't share my screen, Eric, I think.
Should be able to now. Sorry about that.
Yes, I can. Okay. Can you see my screen? Okay. Where is the... Here, present. Present. Okay. Can you see the slides that are decent size? Perfect. So good at power scale. Again, very excited to be here. Very excited to talk about with you with this about this technology. What we talk about today, a little bit about me, about Clay, what is not, why the outbound is broken, the outbound function, the outbound process is actually broken. I will tell you why it's broken, how can we actually can fix it through Clay and through the use of technology. And then we will see like a couple of flows, a couple of use cases. All what you see actually come from client works. So it's not random. Yeah, the flow that you see are probably demo, but everything is from experience. Everything is from practice from the client that I manage with my little consultancy, basically. So all of them are working as signal, as prospecting, and all of them are real life situation, basically. Just to make an example, I thought about e-commerce playbook, a little bit of account-based marketing playbook, and one more specific about Facebook advertising. And then as Vanessa, if I'm not wrong, said, we can just see something about job opens and any other kind of signals that come to your mind, or maybe you have some questions about your clients and we can brainstorm together how to apply this technology that in general outbound to be useful actually. And a little bit about myself. I run a consulting educational company that builds, scales, and teaches B2B go-to-market system with Clay. I just started with Outbound a couple of years ago, and I think just 5 months ago, I just positioned on just Clay, basically, which was very interesting because this kind of positioning really make me attract very high-level clients, very high-level companies, and I generally think that all the Clay ecosystem is generally going to the right direction to be the next big marketing movement, such as in Salesforce was like, I don't know, the CRM movement. HubSpot was like, I don't know, the inbound movement, let's say, more or less. Clay could probably have, still small, of course, is a scale up, but probably has the potential to become or the AI-driven outbound movement or the outbound that generates inbound movement. Well, then we can talk about this, what does it mean and what doesn't, basically. And apart from running the consultancy and the agency, basically, I'm the guy behind Clay Scalar newsletter with now almost 1,000 people subscribe, paid community, and a very LinkedIn active profile. So Clay, what is Clay? A couple of you actually just heard about Clay, but what is exactly? So Clay is not a data provider. It's not like Apollo, ZoomInfo, or all the other data provider that you heard. Is like a G sheet. Is a sales operation sheet. Is like really a Google sheet with a lot of APIs. For example, you want to prospect to e-commerce, you can connect to Clay the right API for e-commerce, the right API to scrape Facebook ads, the right API to find the decision maker, the right API to find and enrich the emails, and the right API to actually send emails. That's it. That's Clay. Build targeted prospecting list in minutes. That's how Clay works. It's a sales operations engine with a lot of APIs, so where you can customize the outbound flows, but not just the outbound flows. There are use cases on inbound too. There are use cases on ABM too. So I really like to call it like a go-to-market technology in general, which simplify sales operations and revenue operations, especially if you think about outbound. So what is the problem of outbound? Why people are missing quota with outbound? Because they are not able to create good lists. The problem is list building, is revenue operations. It's not really copy. Yes, it's copy and offer too. But the real big problem is that it's tough to create lists and make people efficient with it. And that's the big problem that Clay is basically solving. So why outbound is broken? Problem one. I think we all received those stupid AI emails. I hope to find you well, plus and very irrelevant personalization, basically. Yeah, of course, that doesn't work. It's not the personalization, the project work. The second problem is that good outbound is really not scalable. And building the list is a nightmare. List building is 90% of outbound success. That's the problem, because you receive a lot of outreach that is totally irrelevant, that is totally out of target and with a total irrelevant offer. That's the problem. Because one thing is saying, hey, to an e-commerce, hey, we are running Facebook ads, are you interested? A second thing is saying, hey, I noticed that you're working in the fashion industry. Do you want to have a conversation, because we have a similar e-commerce where we brought an e-commerce similar to use to, I don't know, 50K a month to 100K a month. Another thing, again, is to create such a relevant piece of content or copy that can really generate inbound, such as, hey, I just noticed that you are selling fashion items. You are running a Facebook advertising for this particular goal. And we just made a very accurate analysis on how to make acquisitions cost better for competitor in this kind of market. Mind if I share with you on a live call the exact process to go from X to Y, which is completely different. The third problem is the predictable pipeline model is just broken. So there's not any more predictable pipeline. Predictable pipeline was something like, okay, B2B SaaS, the world 2020 or 2010, the world is still not full of B2B software as a service. We hire a couple of SDRs and one account executive. This is the minimum team. We want more meetings, we want more revenue. Simple. From 2, we are 4 SDRs. From 1 account executive, we are 2 account executives. And the economics made sense at the time. If with 2 SDR, we were making, I don't know, 10 meetings, now we are making 20. Right now, in 2024, where people don't really need to buy, we are saturated, especially in the B2B SaaS world, and outbound work a little less because the replies are actually lower. If you go from 1 SDR to 2, you don't have twice the number of opportunities and twice the revenue. You're decreasing marginality on it. You are decreasing return on it. Or you find a way to make outbound very, very smart, where few people leverage a lot of technology to make it right positive, efficient, or it, for a lot of company, actually doesn't make any sense. This is the reality of outbound in 2024. That's why you see a lot of open jobs for SDRs, a lot of vacant jobs for SDRs, and they are changing company like every couple of weeks. And that's where basically Clay come into play. So you basically have a technology that can do the work of 5 SDRs at the same time. And the SDR job, the SDR role is actually evolving. For example, right now, what I want an SDR to do is not to create the list and personalize the emails. I just want the SDR to call people, because all the emails, all the communication can be way more relevant if automated. If automated through a technology like Clay. Because again, with Clay, you can, I don't know, you are selling SEO services, you can at scale, if you upload a list of URLs, check how fast is the page speed to actually upload. If you have a page speed that is, I don't know, a web page is loading in 3 seconds, you can't have a problem. You are losing conversion, you're losing users, you're losing revenues. But you can do this at scale, or you have an SDR that check all the website on the page speed tool. I don't know if you are familiar with it, I think so. And you check all of them saying, hey, this load in 4 seconds, this load in 5 seconds, or you can do it at scale, which is incredibly efficient, especially if you have a very large market. You can send such an incredible, efficient, and targeted message at scale. Another thing could be, I don't know, but whatever comes to your mind, whatever is public, it is an open data, you can leverage it. You just work with Instagram, I don't know, profile with companies with a lot of engagement on Instagram. You want to target fashion brands with more than 100K followers on Instagram. Okay, you can do it with Clay. You just upload the list of URLs. Automatically, you can enrich the company name. Automatically, you can scrape the Instagram on the footer or on the website. Automatically, you can check on the Instagram page and read the number of followers so that you know it is in target for you. And then you can find the decision maker according to your campaign. That's just another example. Another example could be, I don't know, Facebook ads. If a company, a service, an e-commerce, whatever, is running Facebook ads, it's such an incredible KPI if you think about it. So if someone is running advertising, first of all, has money for advertising. It believes in advertising, which is way easier to sell to people already doing something than convince it is the right activity to do. Third, if they are running Facebook ads, they could probably have some problems like decreasing the customer acquisition costs. If you're sending a message to people, hey, do you want to actually decrease the customer acquisition cost, and you're not running any kind of advertising, of course, it's not really interesting, right? Especially if you're targeted on a single channel. But another thing could be if you have, and you can track it, a lot of advertising, you would probably have a lot of conversations, because if you're spending a lot, you're having a return. And if you're having a return, you have a lot of conversation to handle, you even know that maybe you have a lead management problem, because you have a lot of conversation and you actually have to make the conversion KPIs better, not just the top of the funnel. So again, there are a lot of problems you can scrape on the web and actually understand if a company have a problem or a very high likelihood of having a problem. Later, if you want, and you come up with very specific case about a client of yours, the company you're working with, the vertical of client you are trying to reach, then we can brainstorm some open problems through open data, basically. Right now, I will just share a couple of examples that are real flows from real clients that are working, and you can see actually how we brainstormed, where we bring the data, where we brought the data, how we enrich data, and actually how we create successful campaigns. That's the e-commerce playbook. So my client sells a B2B software as a service, basically. He's selling to e-commerces with less than 3 million in revenues. Owner is the main decision maker, and the SaaS does a lot of things, but in this particular case, he has a software as a service that actually improves the number and the quality of reviews for e-commerces. As you can see, e-commerce is in general, you can't find e-commerce owners, especially small and medium e-commerce owners on LinkedIn, for example, because they really don't care about LinkedIn. They are B2C guys. They are not really B2B. So the only way to actually scrape a good e-commerce data, I figure, is a database company called StoreLeads. Can you see me searching on Google, right? Okay. How many of you are familiar with StoreLeads? Not really. So what is very important about Clay is where to find the right data. StoreLeads is the best database ever about e-commerces. You want all the e-commerces in, I don't know, US, Italy, Spain, all the e-commerces that have a particular feature, you can find them with StoreLeads. What we did is we mapped all, that was a B2B go-to-market in Spain. We mapped, first of all, and we download from StoreLeads all the e-commerces from Spain. We put them on our table, basically. Just the URL, it is enough. And what we did was that I create a process, which is still active, by the way, where it is enough to upload at scale the URL of companies, as you can see them. With just one click, you can upload, just copy and paste from their table or wherever. And in a total automatic way, this Clay flow that was basically trained by me, of course, does exactly this. First of all, normalize the URL. So from just the domain, you get the right URL. Secondly, use the API from StoreLeads to get some good information, such as the description and the title. From the description and the title, we just want the e-commerces who are selling products, not services. Because this kind of particular B2B software as a service company just not work with service companies, just work with companies who can ship the products. So is it in target or not? Here we just use an AI function that take into as an input description and title and understand whether or not they are selling products or services. If the email is not present, we can find the email of decision maker on the website. This is a live GPT that goes on the website. Little disclaimer, if you're selling to e-commerces that are less than 3 million in revenues, the owner is the main decision maker, and he read directly the email and answer to the phone on the footer. If you are dealing with e-commerces who have more than 3 million in revenues, the e-commerce manager is the key person. You have to enrich them with Apollo, but you can add Apollo, of course, on Clay too. In this case, it's enough the email on the footer. We find the email on the footer if it's not already present there. We validate the email because you have to validate it. I don't know how technical you are about Outbound. If the email is valid, we find the phone number too. We use Find Business Reviews. There's an integration from Clay that just find the reviews from the Google page of those e-commerces, starting from the URL. As you can see, this is 4 out of 5, this is 3. And we do the same in Trustpilot. I don't know if you're familiar in Trustpilot. In Europe, it's very popular. It's kind of the same of a Google business page. You have the reviews of some services, such as the e-commerces. And at this point, we have 3 different value propositions. So there are 3 ways in which an e-commerce can have a problem on reviews. If you have bad reviews, if you have no reviews, or if you have less than 100 reviews. According to the data that we find, we send 3 kinds of campaigns. I can connect directly the email to Smart Lead or to a dialer where SDR can cold call. But if the reviews is present and less than 4 out of 5, I can send a message that says something like, hey, I just noticed that your e-commerce that you are selling, I don't know, fashion products, you have a review of 3 out of 5 on Google. Are you aware of that having like 3 out of 5 of reviews just make you lose 30% of sales and you lose, I don't know, 50% of conversion rates because customers don't like you and don't trust you? Doesn't make sense to have a quick check to actually, if I can send you like all the scripts we are using with our software to actually have more reviews and make them positive in a couple of weeks. It's actually a no-brainer to actually just reply yes. The other is if you have less than 100 reviews, this copy could be a little bit different. Something like, hey, I noticed that you have less than 100 reviews. You know that having less than 100 reviews, according to scientific research, make you lose trust and, I don't know, 15% of conversion rate, and same call to action. Another, again, especially for Trustpilot, by the fact that not all of them are on Trustpilot, you can say, hey, I see you have very good reviews on Google, but you have no presence on Trustpilot. Does it make sense to see how can we just move part of your traffic to leave a review on Trustpilot so you're even more qualified and trusted by your customers? And this can be done after some work, of course, is kind of automated. Then you have to see the process about sending emails, actually manage the inbox, nurturing leads, because nobody goes to the meeting just directly. But there's a very good process around it to make it efficient, scalable, and with a very good returns.
Michael, Eric had a quick question, which I'm a little curious on too. For the
Sure.
GPT that determines if they only sell products or services,
Mm-hmm.
how does that work? Does the ChatGPT go to the actual website and then just like look at the
You have different way to do it. Good question. So it's always a matter of cost, efficiency, and how good are your data. The most efficient thing is just use, in this case, by the fact that Store Leads is, the API is free. So if you pay a flat fee, you have a like unlimited number of requests, unlimited in brackets, of course. And with just the description and title, most of the time you have a good targeting. If you want to be more accurate than this, you can use the live GPT to scrape SEO description, products, catalogs, footer, whatever, to make it even more advanced. But yeah, on a general rule is that the best data to scrape for that are LinkedIn description, if they are on LinkedIn. Otherwise, you can scrape all the website, which that you can achieve like 95% accuracy, more or less, if you just play it a bit.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
It's it's awesome. I feel like we're at an inflection point. I know a lot of sales teams or SDRs that are doing like all of this manually.
Yeah.
So super interesting.
Yeah, exactly. They are especially Clay pitch, I think, at the really beginning when they were pitching. Like right now, I think the main customer of Clay is like lead gen agencies, of course. But before their pitch was something like, so you have a team of 10 SDRs, so we can do everything with just one Clay operator, which is more or less why it makes sense. Cool. Yeah, this is the logic behind the flow. If score reviews less than 4 out of 5, one value proposition. If number of reviews less than 100, another value proposition. If this is not true, same thing for the third. Another play is not really a playbook, but a project that I'm doing with a client. This client is selling outsourcing services. He's selling to game dev studios, game development studios, so the studios behind very famous video games. Average contract value is like very big, 50K, 100K, even bigger. The market is very small. We have a couple of maybe 2,000 companies. Okay. The decision maker is the art director. And we use an ABM. We are using actually an ABM play, like a series of interviews. Like we are not prospecting directly for the majority of the part, but we are using basically a series of interviews to warm up the accounts, create personal connections with the decision maker, and later follow up in a more sales-related way. And again, one of the most difficult part in outbound is having a very good list. When you just enter a new company, even a fairly big company, how many of those companies actually have a list of the ideal client profiles, at least with URLs and company names? On my experience, very, very few, but very, very few. Just having the list of the market in place, very few of them actually. Yeah, they have ideas, they have some filter, they have some searches, they have a CRM, which is a mess, but they don't have just a list to verify this is in target or not. Just starting and having that list is amazing. And how do you do that? Actually, it's an art. Creating the list is 90% of outbound success, and most of the cases is a very good percent of all the go-to-market success, actually. And what we did in this case was, so it's not really easy to go on the Sales Navigator on a poll and say, I just want all the game dev studios. If you use some keywords, well, for example, this is Sales Navigator, which is the most used probably sales tool by salespeople, go-to-market people in general. If I say something like game development, okay, there are a lot of game development. Okay, there are a lot of results. You can filter by industry, you can filter by, I don't know, number of employees, you can filter by a lot of things. The fact is, Sales Navigator, of course, LinkedIn has the best B2B data ever, okay? But this tool, guys, is broken. Sys Navigator data, if you use the search filters, is totally broken. This game development keyword is totally confusing. There's not a really good way to actually make good lists from Sys Navigator. If you do that in practice, it is not possible. It's impossible to create good lists from Sys Navigator, because game development could be, okay, staffing company, can be your competitors, can be people that are interested in game development. All of these keywords are inside the searches that you made with the Sys Navigator. And there's not even a very good way to actually start from a list of companies, of URLs, plug into Sys Navigator and just find the decision maker names, the job titles. It's impossible. There's not a way to plug the URLs. There's a way with more advanced plans of Sys Navigator to upload something from the CRM, but it's a bit messy too. So it's not really easy to do that. It's very confusing. It's very broken in general, this kind of process. But and having the right source of data here is key. For e-commerce, it was store leads. In this case, for game development, we were very lucky because the owners of this company remind me about a map, which is called Game Dev Map, which is a website, total random website that maps all the game development studios in the world. It's not easy to scrape them because you see, it's just an image. But if you're a bit good with URL and some coding, it's not that difficult to scrape all the list of all the companies from there. And this list is really amazing when I tried it. And that's where Clay actually comes to play, because it's very good in scraping too. For example, in this case, I just figured that if you do something like that, and you go to, I don't know, page 2, you can see you have a limited number of results. But I just figured that if I do something like that, I can scrape all the database. And with just a very easy, you can use the Chrome extension from Clay or other providers, you can scrape all the URLs. If you scrape all the URLs, then you have an amazing sales list. If you have an amazing sales list, you can upload it on Clay. And you can do what Sys Navigator can't do. I just uploaded a list of all the URLs because I upload all the list in another table. Then from this table, I just call that list so that I have name, description, primary industry. Clay is enriching all this data from LinkedIn, and the input were just the URLs I found here. You have size, you have domain, type, location, country. At this point, I use the Apollo API key and say something like, sorry, I can't see. I want the CEO, managing partner, founder, co-founder, chief executive, whatever is in target. Find name, title, LinkedIn, and if you want, email. But of course, there are more than one. Maybe you have 10 different people with those job titles. So what we did, I create like a function which writes all of these figures, person by person, not in the same line, into this other table, so that I even mapped all the people, not just the companies. And by the fact that we were using a ABM Play, I really wanted to filter people active on LinkedIn and people not active on LinkedIn, because I noticed that if you use an ABM Play, people who have more than 500 connections on LinkedIn are intentional in building a network. They like exposure, they like PR, and they like to get interviewed. So that when the SDR prospect them, is not losing 50% of his time in prospecting people that are not interested or not even active on that channel. He's just prospecting people that are active and interested in that channel or in that activity. While for people that have less than 500 connections, I just do a very direct sales approach. That's another way in which you can actually use Clay. As you see, of course, it works better if you have a large market. But there are a lot of ways and a lot of plays you can leverage to make your ABM go-to-market sales effort, marketing effort better, more efficient and faster. The ability to make the right list in little time, very efficient list, and maybe even connect like very good communication, like outbound communications, is very, very effective. You can even think that it's just for outbound. It's not just for outbound. You can use Clay to enrich your CRM. How many of you actually have a CRM without a company name, without the LinkedIn URL of people? Maybe you have a lot of lost opportunities or open opportunities that are not going anywhere, and you want to pass them to the sales team, but you have to enrich all the LinkedIn profile. How can you do that? You can with Clay. If you have, for example, the company email, from the company email on Clay, I can get the URL. From the URL, I can get the LinkedIn page. With name plus LinkedIn page, I can find the LinkedIn profile and pass everything to my salespeople. I can use it on inbound. For example, let's say I'm using a lead magnet with Facebook ads, and a lot of people are actually downloading that lead magnet. I'm a big company, so I have a lot of downloads because I'm running a lot of demand gen activities. But I want to filter people in target that actually download that lead magnet and people that are not. Very simply, you can connect the source of leads to Clay, and Clay automatically just check where the person is working. If the company, I don't know, is in US and is bigger than, I don't know, 50 people. If it is right, you pass them to the sales dev team, or you pass them to the CRM or whatever. So it's really a go-to-market engine, a go-to-market technology. It's not just outbound. But yeah, outbound is the main use case, but it's really at 360 degrees. If there are questions, I can't see them actually. Here's the chat. Okay, welcome. Does the GPT chat determines only proscript? Okay, I just answered to this. For video, there's a blend or something with the VM such here too in regards to is setting the segmentation. The challenge I found is getting sales and marketing aligned on the same set of accounts that is detailed enough to have personalization. A lot of us are just having a broad list of about 500 companies, for example, but that's it. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. So, of course, I think the killer feature of Clay, if you have a big market, actually. If you have a small market, you're just doing enterprise sales or very ABM plays, of course, it's better to do it manually, even if Clay really helps in data manipulation, data extraction. One of the biggest clients of mine actually is selling to enterprises, but I really use Clay to simplify everything. For example, I want to send the demand generation campaign by email. I can send that demand generation campaign with emails through only the finance job titles in my temp, and then all on the executive, then only on salespeople. So there are a lot of ways to actually use it. And yeah, actually making the marketing function, the sales function in finding an agreement on the list is an amazing achievement, in my opinion.
I got a super quick question, Michael. Do you have preference
Sure.
what tool to use to actually send the emails?
Yeah. Well, it's open to debate, of course, but I really like, so first of all, I don't like omni-channel tool. I don't trust them. I still have to find one that is good. Right now, channels are so specialized that one tool can focus on one channel. Smart Lead for emails, because you can connect them with the Clay. You have an integration, so you don't even have to download all the data and just re-upload them on the platform. You do everything on Clay, so you even win by speed. You are way faster in doing anything. And Smart Lead is designed for outbound emails. It's probably the best technology right now on the planet for deliverability. And the integration with Clay is just amazing. On phone is completely different, because on phone now you have parallel dialers, you have power dialers, and even having the right mobile numbers is very, very tough. While on LinkedIn, I just prefer manual. You have a limit of 100 connections, just employ an SDR to do very, very good personalization, engage with people, and create some content. Because it's just a matter of scale. Is it LinkedIn scalable? No. Is it outbound email scalable? Yes. For me, emails is like a display ads channel. So if I can send 100 email and generate one interested replies, I won the game. I just scale it. That's how you think about outbound emails. It's like pure direct response. Phone is different, LinkedIn is different. Yeah, smartly.ai, exactly. Okay, cool. Any other questions? Yeah, in this case, the logic was if LinkedIn connections are less than 500, the dark sales play, more than 500, the IBM play. That's another one, the last one, actually. That's about the one that I mentioned before, actually, Facebook advertising. In this case, my client sells an AI chatbot. He's selling to online services such as auto dealers. You can often find them on Google Maps. Owner, the decision maker, chatbot automates 90% of the conversations. So again, I think you have to think about what is the best way to find the right data. So where are auto dealers? Very big auto dealers are on LinkedIn, but there are not a lot. Auto dealers are very easy to find on maps. A lot of companies in general that are not active on LinkedIn, you can find them on Google Maps, actually. You can find auto or better car dealers. If you go state by state, there are a lot. I don't know why they're showing so little, but I think if you focus on the map, you can find, at least in European market, a lot of them.
I think just a typo. You said car dealers, not car.
Ah, yeah, you're right. Okay, now makes sense. Okay. And all of these results, actually, if you check one of these, okay, this is a car dealer, can probably do from, I don't know, 1 million to 5 million per year, even 10 million in some cases. You have the others, so you can send direct mails. You have the phone, so you can call people. You have the website, so you can find all the emails on the website, scrape the website, and really check if it is the right auto dealers. Even here, you have a lot of information. You have another phone too. You can probably even have like more details about what kind of auto dealer is. You have the Facebook page, you have the Twitter page. And in this particular case, we were looking for auto dealers or any kind of online services like schools, academies, auto dealers, car dealers, whatever that were running Facebook ads because if they are running Facebook ads, they believe in digital and they probably have a lot of conversation, and especially for services. It's not like e-commerce where you have a product, you read the description, you just buy. For services, people ask a lot of questions, a lot of informations, or you have full-time 7/7, 24 hours a day reps who actually reply to any message. Is actually kind of tough. Having an immediate reply make all the difference. And with the new chatbots, you can at least automate 90% of the conversation, or at least capture a contact so that they can call you back. And not having a chatbot actually makes a difference for these people. But of course, we just want people who have a lot of traffic, a lot of conversation. Otherwise, they are not really problem aware. They just don't care. They just don't get it. So what they did was to actually scrape the Facebook ads library. Started with Google Maps. You can scrape all of these dealers. In a city, there could be, I don't know, 1,000 dealers actually, 100 dealers. It depends on how big the city is, of course. In US, there could be, I don't know, 100,000 dealers, maybe more. I don't know if millions, but for sure 100,000. You can scrape all of them. Automatically, you can find all the websites, all the emails, all the addresses. You can map them by city, by country, by state. You can really do whatever on it. And we want just the one that are running advertising. In this case, Facebook advertising. Uploading them on the left with, again, Clay Agent, which is a live version of ChatGPT. You can say something like, but I can show you. As you can see, the technology works like this. Put your own API key of ChatGPT. Mission. As you can see, it's really no code. I can't code, guys, by the way. It's really, everything is no code. I just write something like visit URL, which is this URL, and find the Facebook page URL. Kind of easy, right? Answer formatting, just answer as a URL, because otherwise it's a bit of a mess how GPT answer to reply to people. Can be a bit not really structured. And in this way, I get all the Facebook pages. If you check, they are legit. Yeah, this was not a car dealer, but as you can see, you have the Facebook page. From the Facebook page, I just figure out that the meta ads library link is always the same. It's divided in this primary part, the Facebook page URL, and this secondary part. So if I create an URL with, this is always the same. This is always the same. And in the middle, you just put the Facebook page URL. You can have all the final Facebook meta ads library web page in which they say if they are running ads or not. Yeah, I just watched too much the Facebook ads library here to open it. Another profile. As you can see at scale, we can find all the Facebook libraries of all these people. So at the end, we have from Google Maps, we scrape all the auto dealers. From the auto dealers, we get all the Facebook pages, and from the Facebook pages, we get the ads library pages, basically. And we can scrape this number, right? 0 results, or 10 results, or 100 results, whatever. If results is bigger than 0, they are running Facebook ads. If it is bigger than 0, if it is 2, if it is 3, if it is whatever, then I turn true, and I can engage them, say something like, I notice you have active advertising, maybe you have a conversation management problem. That's it, basically. Again, the logic is, does it have a Facebook page? Starting with Google Maps, does it have a Facebook page? Is running Facebook ads? Yes, script, contact, email, and phone, and reach them. And contact them, of course. Thank you. That's all, basically. If you want to see more clay use cases, I share just one clay flow each week with my newsletter. You can subscribe it here if you want, and really happy for this call and open to any kind of questions.
Thank you so much, Michael. That was
Thank
awesome.
you.
And that was honestly kind of
A pleasure to talk here with you guys.
yeah. It was frame shifting a little bit because you start to realize like how many of these things you can do, and now my wheels are just turning super
Sure.
quickly in all the different ways we can utilize this. So yeah, that was super exciting. My biggest takeaways were it seems like you're really just with cold outbound, just figuring out what the very best outreach to do is, as if you're doing everything manually and then working backwards from that and trying to automate as much as possible, right? And then it's just like
Yeah.
be creative about not getting stuck. So if you're getting stuck with like keep your standard high of like how personalized you want to be, and then be creative of like where you get the data, what data you get, how
Yeah.
specific you personalize, and then how you achieve all those things.
Yeah, my process is like that. It's like, of course, the best ideas come from the clients, actually. So from the day-to-day operator, because of course they know the market better than me. I run a consultancy, so yeah, I see a lot of business. I can do a little bit of pattern recognition, but at the end of the day, they know the market better than me. And it's something like, so if you tell them something like, so what is in your opinion, how do you find your ideal customer? When is the point in which, what is the problem that you're having? Then you work backwards. You kind of an understanding about the problems, and from the problems, you have to think about what are the open data available on the web, whatever, because if it is open on the web, I can bring it. And then you have to find a way to bring that data in a cheap, effective, and scalable way, which is a very huge part of the game. Because if I try to prospect e-commerce through Apollo, and from experience, I don't know that Stories is the best, it's impossible. You won't achieve any kind of results. If you want to engage e-commerces on Amazon or any kind of marketplace, you can't really start on store leads because it's not efficient to check if is this on really on Amazon or not, and getting the Amazon page from the URL is tricky. If you try to do it, it's tricky. But I figure out there's another amazing provider who just scrapes every kind of it's called Smart Scout, I think, that basically scraped all Amazon for us, luckily. And it has amazing data where you can just start and have very, very amazing campaigns on it.
God, it's crazy. And if you're running outbound already, you have a sales team that's like it's working for them, and you can just basically go to them and say, hey, you can probably do this with like a tenth the people and get the same results because you're sending the same emails, and then reps are just like calling. So super interesting. I don't want to monopolize. Who else? Anyone else have questions?
Hey, Michael, do you have any examples of using Clay to determine like intent from like maybe like a B2B software company? And then, I feel like the ideas around the LinkedIn followers, like other signals were really interesting. Have you ever used it for like, yeah, basically like any other intent ideas? Like, I know this is the target list I want to go after in this space, but can I filter it to determine maybe like people that are a little bit more likely to be in that buying headspace? Yeah.
Like Sixth Sense, basically.
Yeah.
Well, I think, yeah, totally there's a way to do it. And so in general, I would pay a lot of attention on how I get that data because, for example, some of you are is working at Sixth Sense. No. Okay.
Not in
For
this call.
example, I believe it's bullshit. I don't know how they track this data. I don't think it works out. For me, it's
I
random.
agree.
For example.
Yeah.
It's totally bullshit. It's impossible to track those data, but in some cases, there's the possibility. For example, I can probably connect with the API of Bambora and check if any of I have a list of 1,000 companies, and I can match if from the Bambora list, some of these the marketing manager of some of these companies looking at reviews for CRM. I can do this, it's logical to me. But if someone out of a black box say, okay, this has intent, okay, what kind of intent exactly? Because it doesn't make any sense in my head. Another that I think Vanessa said at the beginning, open jobs. If you see a lot of open jobs, the company is growing, you know? So it is an intent data. There could be a lot, but the best one are not public, are industry specific. And when you figure out how to get it, you have a very good advantage out of your competitors. For example, I believe that one clay flow only works for one company. I can even share my template with you, but unless you're really a copycat competitor, it won't work. So it must be so specific that is crazy how specific it should be. Even the same, if two companies or a lot of companies are selling HR tech, okay? And I don't know, a lot of people are coming to me with this HR tech. Basically, a lot of them are the same, but even if you have a little differentiation and everything is made by the offer, if you have a very, very good offer and very good differentiation, you can create flows in a different way very often and can be really effective. If you have the same offering, like outsourcing, IT outsourcing, HR, whatever kind of service that is very basic without any kind of good offer differentiation, making outbound works is very complicated. The worst companies the worst clients I can basically have are IT outsource companies, staffing, any kind which is very standardized.
Thanks.
But yeah, cool. Definitely you can. Not 100% of them are, that's the problem, of course, public information. If you are prospecting to Fortune 500s, there are some intent data probably, but those companies just don't share data. They are very secretive in what they do. So there's not really a way to understand what's going on inside those companies.
No, I agree. I think the tech target, Sixth Sense, like a lot of the like intent selling services are super broad, and I feel like I haven't found too much success with them. At least seeing differentiation and response rates or performance.
Yeah, see.
But I think that,
Yeah.
like you said, what type of intent? Like, can you get creative about it? Like, can you think ways that show more growth or more signals toward that? So, thanks.
Cool. Another good one is like there's a guy from LinkedIn, I don't remember the name, but the company is a Retention B2B, which track visitors on your website. Of course, if you have like I don't know, a MarTech tool, sales tech tool, which is not that pricey. You have a lot of traffic inside your website with a lot of different landing pages, product features, etc., etc. And you get, I don't know, 100 visits per day on all the different pages. That's an intent data. You can create a very relevant outbound on it. The more pages you have, and the better it is.
Yeah, that tool's been Super interesting. Cool. Well, Michael, thanks so much.
Thank you.
This was awesome, super helpful. I love how tactical you got, and this will definitely be a resource. And then we know who to send anyone to if they have clay questions. But this was exciting. Everyone else, please keep us in the loop if you end up executing on any of this stuff or utilizing clay in your daily workflow. I'd love to hear more about it.
Cool.
Michael, thanks so much. This was awesome.
Thank you so much.